Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, report of the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters on a bill for an act to amend the Terrorism Prevention Act 2013 and for other matters connected thereto, SB 662. The Terrorism Prevention Act 2013 Amendment Bill 2021 was sponsored by Senator Ezinwa F. Onyewuchi, representing Imo East Senatorial District. The bill was read for the first time on Wednesday, 10th March 2021. On Wednesday, 19th May 2021, the Senate at its plenary sitting deliberated on the general principles of the bill, and after extensive deliberation, the bill was read for the second term and referred to the Senate Committee on Judiciary and to report back with its recommendations. Mr. President, I will be jumping to our observations and findings as stated on page 5 therefrom. Flowing from the submissions and presentations made by stakeholders and the general public on this proposed legislation, and having analyzed same in our subsequent markup sessions on the bill, the committee hereby makes the following observations and findings. 1, that the stakeholders and members of the public that submitted memoranda, as well as those that made oral presentations at the public hearing, supported the passage of the bill in view of its strategic importance to all national efforts geared towards the fight against terrorism in Nigeria. 2, that the committee, in the course of its deliberations, consulted widely and carried out an in-depth analysis of the submissions and reflected them in the bill. 3, that in the memoranda presented to the committee, a plethora of issues relating to the subject matter of terrorism and terrorism financing in line with global best practices were raised. It is our decision to include these in the bill so as to save time and resources, which would be wasted if we resolve to piecemeal amendment of the extant legislation. 4, that the proposed amendment, no doubt, will set standards and regulatory system intended to prevent terrorist groups from laundering money through the banking system and other financial networks. 5, that having policies in place to combat financing of terrorism will surely reduce or eliminate privacy and anonymity in financial and other sundry transactions as it relates to the subject in our society. 6, that the need to comprehensively review the Terrorism Prevention Act arose from the unfavorable ratings of Financial Act Task Force recommendations of Nigeria's Mutual Evaluation Report and consequent placement of Nigeria in FACT's International Cooperation and Review Group process with its impending sanctions on Nigeria's economy. 7, that the National Task Force on Improving Nigeria's Anti-Money Laundering and Countering the Financing of Terrorism regime in Nigeria proposed improvement on the Act in order to address the deficiencies noted in the provisions of the Act so as to align with the required standard as obtainable in other jurisdictions. 8, that the proposed repeal and enactment bill is geared towards improving the effectiveness of countermeasures against terrorism, terrorism financing, and proliferation financing. 9, that the repeal is aimed at providing adequate framework for improved international collaboration, interagency cooperation, and freezing of terrorist funds and assets. And 10, that the passage of this bill will save Nigeria from being included among countries in the Financial Action Task Force grey list with its its attendant negative consequences, which might ultimately result to international sanctions that would affect the image of the country within the Committee of Nations. Our recommendation: the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters, to which this bill was referred, having favorably considered same, recommends as follows: that the Senate do consider and pass the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Bill 2022, SB 662. Mr. President, we finally wish to use this opportunity to thank the President of the Senate and our distinguished colleagues for the opportunity to serve in the capacity and to respectfully commend the passage of the bill to the Senate. Mr. President, I so submit.
If no comments, Leader, Committee of the Whole. A bill for an act to amend the Terrorism Prevention Act 2013 and for other matters connected thereto 2022 third reading taken, and the bill is passed. Well, congratulations to the Senate for passing this very, very important bill on terrorism. And it is our belief here in the Senate that this bill, by the time signed into an act by Mr. President, will enhance the efforts of this government in the fight against terrorism, kidnapping, and other associated and related vices. This is one bill, one piece of legislation that can turn around not only the security situation in Nigeria, but even the economic fortunes of our country. We have done so much as a government in terms of infrastructural development across the country, in all parts of this country, but because the security situation is not the kind of situation that we all want, this tends to overshadow most of these tremendous and remarkable and massive developments in our country. I believe that the executive will waste no time in signing this bill into law, and it is our hope that this additional piece of legislation will achieve the purpose for which it has been worked upon by the Senate and indeed the National Assembly, and for the reason that it will also be signed by Mr. President. But let me make it very clear here that the fight against any insecurity, whether it is kidnapping, terrorism, and whatsoever, is not the sole purpose or the sole role of a government. The contribution, the support by citizens is essential because our security agencies need vital and critical information to fight against terrorism and kidnapping and other things that makes life difficult for us. And the security agencies, we believe, are trying their best, but they need to do more. They need to achieve better. And any information is vital, and the security agencies must use information given to them, whether by citizens or by sister security agencies. With this, once again, I want to congratulate the Senate for this very important piece of legislation, once again, in support of a very important problem that bedevils our country. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished